This is the Seahawkers podcast. I'm Brandon Schultz of the Military Seahawkers, and joining me, my good buddy, Montana Seahawker Adam Emmert.
That was stressful. I didn't need that in my life on this Sunday. I was expecting something a little different. And I honestly, when I woke up and saw that Fant and Jones were both indeed starting on the offensive line, that's when my day started to go bad. But the thing was, they weren't the problem.
They weren't the problem. And my problem, I have the same problem as you two. Watching this game, I need to be able to turn up the I don't care button, however that works on your body. Like, I want to be able to care less while watching the game, because I don't like shaking and being nervous and all this stressfulness that happens from the start of the game to the end of the game. And I felt like I was getting to that point when they were down 20-6, because I'm like, okay, well, the Seahawks are behind now. I don't have to worry about it. But then they keep climbing back in. And the nerves just ramp up all over again.
It was a nerve-wracking game. And, I mean, obviously we know this is kind of how this team rolls, but good Lord, that was a super sluggish start. That wasn't just a slow start. That was a glacial start. I mean, giving up that first kick return of 75 yards, like, it was like, oh, okay, here we go. Oh, and then penalty, and then, toss play to Chubb, touchdown. Well, that's a great way to start. Well, hopefully Russ can bail us out. Ding, 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 takes it right down the field, scores a touchdown. Jason Myers shanks the extra point. It's like, I guess this game is all going to come down to how far can Russ take us? Because that's exactly what this game was. How far could Russ take us?
But you know what? Russ can take us everywhere, because he showed that. 295 yards in this game. He was only sacked. You mentioned the fact that Jamarco Jones starting at right guard, George Fant starting at left tackle. Russell Wilson only sacked 3 times, and I think one of those 3 sacks was where he just slid down in the backfield. Completes 23 passes, 33 attempts, 0 interceptions once again, and throwing it all over the field. But when I think about throwing the ball all over the field, Adam, can we pour one out for Will Dissly, our Montana homie?
Dude, this, not only did I have to deal with the fact that the Seahawks played like garbage on defense for an entire half.
Yeah.
I have to deal with the fact that my new emerging man crush of a fellow Montanan tears his Achilles. Man.
Well, we don't know it's torn yet, but it looked awfully torn if he needs help off the field.
Yeah. And that's you hear about the 2 injuries that people say are killers, right?
Yeah.
And one is the Achilles, and then the other is the patellar tendon. Well, he already did the patellar tendon, came back, did okay. Now he's got to try to overcome an Achilles too. For a guy who's not exactly the most athletic guy to begin with, man, it bums me out in ways I can't even say. It leaves us in the surefire hands of Luke Wilson. So that's great.
Luke Wilson, Jacob Hollister.
Was Ed Dixon placed on IR for the year or IR designated to return?
It is IR designated to return, and Pete Carroll's Carroll's been kind of cagey about the idea of if he's on track to be back after 8 weeks or not. So I just don't know if he's recovering as well as Pete's hoping. They're going to find somebody, I suppose, but you know what?
They always do.
They always do, and there's other guys that can step up in the place of losing a guy like Will Dissly. We saw DK Metcalf in this game put up 69 yards. He just stiff arms a dude, puts him on his backside, and then the guy who's apparently taking over in the end zone for Will Dissly is Jarran Brown now with 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, big game for him that way. Stayed penalty free, so that was nice. Yeah, the offense, man, you look at that and you say, definitely doing their part. I feel great about the offense. I mean, even against the Browns, but I mean, they put up 32 points. I mean, that's a good outing for them. You would think that's a 2-score win at the end of the day. Between special teams and the defense, man, they tried to yank the the feeling of defeat from the jaws of victory.
Something like that.
Yeah,
I think you nailed whatever it is you're grasping for. You nailed it.
I know I nailed it. It feels very nailed. But you understand what I'm saying. Like, they tried really hard to lose the freaking game, and it was tough to watch. I mean, Dixon's struggles continue.
Okay, one of the things that was interesting with that, listening to Pete Carroll in the press conference after the game, he said he was trying to signal to Dixon to take the safety in that particular moment. The Seahawks at that point were up 25-20. If they take the safety, then it'd be 25-22, and then they're punting it back to the Browns. Now, they have more field that they have to drive down. They don't just have it on the 20-yard line. But Michael Dixon shanked it out to the 24-yard line, and then they took a penalty, which brought the ball inside the red zone, and it makes for an easy touchdown for the Browns, and they are able to go up 28-25 after the 2-point conversion.
Yeah, I'm not sure taking the safety there would have been the right play. I mean, the Browns had moved the ball up and down the field all day to that point. I mean, they really were chewing up the middle of the field. And early in the game, they were cashing those in for touchdowns too. I mean, 3 consecutive drives where they score. And the defense, I had no confidence in them. Yeah. Like, so what? I'm going to give up 2 points and kick it, a little deeper so the defense will get their stop? I don't think so.
No, because if the Browns drive down and then they just even kick the extra point at that point, then it's 29-25, and you're forced to have to drive the field and score a touchdown, whereas it was only a 3-point lead that way. Right. Yeah, so that was interesting.
I think punting it was fine. Just Dixon can't have a shank right there.
Right.
I mean, he looks nervous kicking the football right now.
And I think it has a little bit to do with the guys up ahead of him. And he did take a hit early on in the season. The way this started, it felt very much like the Saints game. Just spotting them way too many points and trying to climb out of the hole. Fortunately, the Browns have a quarterback with Baker Mayfield that, whether he's throwing into windows that he shouldn't, or whether his receivers aren't able to catch like they should. A couple of those plays were good plays. Shaquille Griffin getting his hand up on the football and knocking it up. Tedrick Thompson getting one of the picks. That was a good play by him. But again, you could say maybe Baker shouldn't throw it into a window that small.
Well, I mean, that's what makes guys the guy. With that sort of persona that takes them to the NFL. Like the idea that they're willing to take that risk. I've got the talent. I can always fit it in there. I mean, it's that gunslinger mentality, and it's something that Baker was applauded for coming out of the draft, right? And everybody says it's great, and they talk about it in glowing terms when they speak of the Brett Favres of the world, right? But it also, can manifest itself like that. You gun it into that tight window, and sometimes, the head coach on his team, it starts looking like Mike Holmgren from years past with Brett Favre, just the play call sheet in his face and shaking his head and just pissed off. I mean, it's boom or bust. Yeah. It's boom or bust. And he's crapping out more often than he's winning right now.
It's kind of interesting in this game, too, the type of chances that the Browns were taking in this game. How many times were they going for it on fourth down? The penalties in the situations that they ended up taking. It was, the Browns really did a lot to lose this game, whether it was coaching, whether it was Mayfield with his interceptions. And so it's kind of funny to hear him complain about the officiating after the game when there's so many other directions you could point your finger. And he complains about the fact that, one of the calls where I think we'll both agree with, the hit on Blair, that was it was not an illegal block. Or illegal, it wasn't even close to a blindside block. But his other
that was
one,
a perfectly legal block. Yeah.
Yeah. But his other gripe was with the receiver, whether or not he fumbled after he got the ball over the goal line or whether he fumbled it before the goal line. Well, hang on to the dang football, and you don't even have to give it to the officials in that particular case.
Right. And that was ruled a fumble on the field. It looks like a fumble even in replay. Like, I think they got that call right. But a couple things here. Number one, the idea that the Browns committed so many penalties and made some poor choices and then had a lot of turnovers going through the second half of the game. The only reason we won this team is that there was another team more inept than us out there at the time. Like, we're fortunate. Like, they just wanted to screw it up more than us. It's really, at the end of the day, that's the main reason we win this game.
Well, you do have to give credit to the defense. Not in the ways that they let Baker Mayfield and Nick Chubb run up and down the field. Nick Chubb really was, they allow him a 52-yard run early on in this game that sets him up with an easy touchdown. And we said going into this game that Nick Chubb couldn't have a big game. But I do think that you have to give some credit. Hey, Trey Flowers has his first interception. We've been calling for that.
Yeah, he was due. But the other thing, you were talking about was Baker complaining about the officials. And look, the officiating was bad in this game. It was bad both ways. I mean, and what was with the lead official, the drama queen lead official, who, like, even when he was turning his mic on and off, had like hand flare. Like, he would turn it off and like his hand would like snap up from his hip. Like,
he was sassy with the microphone flipping on and off.
He was. And when he turned it on, he would like wait for the whole stadium to finally like turn their gaze upon him before
like
he
made his call. Like the teacher tapping the lectern. Students, here we go. It's me time.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, he loves him some him out there. There's no doubt about that. But so yeah, the officiating, I mean, you can point to bad calls that went both directions for sure. So that's fine. But
I think we probably benefited more though on that scale of who benefited more from officiating calls.
Yep.
Probably the Seahawks.
Yep. Oh, absolutely. I wouldn't sit up here and dare to say that we didn't. That would be very disingenuous for sure. And sometimes it takes those things to go your way to pull out a win like this. I mean, it is a road win, and that's nice. But we just saw the Browns get humiliated by the 49ers last week, and we come out here and have to scratch and claw and hold on for our lives and hope Russell Wilson's a freaking Houdini. Like, look at it in these terms. Like, we're always hearing the national pundits be like, the whole Seattle offense is, get them out there, and Russ, you just save us. You just run around and do your thing and you save us. That's what we did this whole game with him.
Hey, it was Russell Wilson and it was Chris Carson. Chris Carson had another game where he was just putting guys on their back, making dudes miss. I can't even... How many missed tackles do you think the Browns had in this game? I don't have the stats for it, but it felt like a lot.
I don't know. I do know, though, that Chris Carson didn't make me miss. He didn't make me miss Penny at all. Like, him being out again with a mysterious hamstring. Okay.
Well, I wish he would have been in there. I wish he would have been in there for the CJ Procise touches, especially the one on, 3rd and 1, where Procise fumbles the football. Why are we running Procise in between the tackles?
Well, he kind of built that way coming out of college. He's bigger than you'd think. I don't mind running Procise between the tackles. I mean, he performed fine except for the fumble, which is a huge except.
And it was the offensive line. That was an issue on that particular play, too, because I think he got hit 3 different times before he even got back to the line of scrimmage.
Right, and that doesn't help your odds holding on to the ball. But still, you got to hold on to the ball.
You got to hold on to the ball.
There's no excuses there. Yeah, just a bizarre game all the way around. And I think at the end of it, I find myself feeling like, man, we pull that crap against a team that's, just at least competent. You ain't winning.
The good news is it's on the road, though. I mean, you do that at home. We saw what happened with that, and we lost to the Saints, kind of having a similar type of game. So, yeah, you can't pull that with any team that's not competent. You need those turnovers. We had a lot of turnover luck go our way in this game too, where it was just tipped up in the air and we just happened to have a guy there to catch it. It seems like in previous games, you see those tip passes happen, then there's nobody in the vicinity, but everybody was just happened to be in the right place at the right time to make those plays this time. And do you make your own luck, or does sometimes luck fall to you? It just felt like the luck fell their way in this game.
Yeah, and that turnover luck comes and goes, right? I mean, I do think you make your own luck to a degree. I mean, Ansah had a hell of a punch on the ball.
Yeah, he did.
On Nick Chubb to bust it out, and that was my whole problem with the defense this entire day. I mean, we've been talking about the bend but don't break thing this entire season. Well, the dam was left wide open at the start of the game. Mm-hmm. And sure, you can say, well, they limited to only, 8 points in the second half. Well, that's great, except for the fact that the only stops that they got were when they were basically causing a turnover when they're on their way into the end zone. Like, they just let the Browns, just do whatever they wanted. And the pass rush, man, the pass rush.
Zero sacks on the day on Mayfield.
Were there any pressures?
It didn't feel like there was much pressure, especially early on. There was none. And that's what really allowed the Browns to get those first 3 touchdowns. Now, part of that was the way they were game planning, right? They were allowing Mayfield to have his first read, and he didn't have to spend any time back observing the field at all. So he could make his first read, he'd throw it, and they were able to move quickly down the field and able to run the ball effectively, so they weren't even taking that away. And I think that's what gave them the opportunity to get up so quickly.
And that's one of the things that's so infuriating about the way the defense played today. I mean, we sat and watched Baker the first 5 games of this season, and you could tell that when he played poorly, it was because they took away the first read and all the easy completions. And then he was trying to do too much. And really, that's true for damn near every quarterback in this league. And yet somehow we get in these stretches where we just give up first reads. Boom, 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 boom. Soft coverage, no pass rush. I mean, we have these great linebackers, right? Bobby and KJ. Where are they? Where are the sacks? Where are the pass breakups? Where are the big hits on the backs that, it changes the flow of a game? Where are these guys?
That's a good question. They are missing, and there's a couple moments in this game, too, where they just turned their back to Mayfield, and he was able to run by them, and one for a touchdown. One of them was for a first down. That was KJ on the first one. So there was just a couple of moments where they weren't even paying attention to Mayfield of whether or not he was on the move.
Right, because they're so concerned with being in coverage because we're playing base. That's their responsibility. So it takes their attention away from getting after the quarterback. Like, if our front four is only going to be that anemic, even with Ansah and Clowney, we got to start sending some guys, some corner blitzes. You got to start doing something, Ken Norton, because this is infuriating to watch. This bend, don't break crap. And the thing is feels like nobody on the defense cares to play defense until it literally is that last blade of grass that they have to defend.
Looking at the second half possessions for the Browns, they fumble it on their first possession. I think that was the Ansah fumble. The next drive, that was one where they actually punted, but I don't know if that was necessarily at the anything that you could really put on the defense, because that was the one they had 18 yards of penalties that backed them way up. And Mayfield almost ran for the first down in that particular moment, but was so they do force the one punt. That was only the second punt of the Browns for the day. The first one was the blocked punt. And then in the first half, after the block punt, their other 2 possessions resulted in interceptions, one of them down in the end zone. And then the last 3 possessions, they turn it over on downs. That's the one where Mayfield was upset because the guy fumbled it right at the goal line. We got a 4th down stop right on the goal line, so that was good. Nice to see that. But then they have the short field, the 24-yard touchdown drive to put them up 28-25, and then Baker's last drive ends with another interception. That's one to KJ Wright.
Yeah, I mean, it was a roller coaster. I mean, when you start breaking it down like that, which was the drive of Russell's that apparently his headset wasn't working, and so he just called all the plays?
I think I heard that was the last one, the last drive of the first half.
Okay.
Let's see. They started at the 12-yard line. And that was the one that ended in the touchdown. So he took him on an 88-yard drive, the longest drive for the Seahawks in the day.
Yeah, I would actually kind of like to see, what was run there, because that was a very efficient drive when, I guess the offense was clicking more or less all day. Russ came back on the very first time we had the ball and scored.
Yeah.
But him and Shoddy are starting to figure it out, between the two of them, and it looks like they're on the same wavelength. If Russ can just take over and boop, 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 take us right down the field.
Well, and I feel like Russell always has those 2-minute drive type moments down anyway.
Yeah.
But it was interesting to hear that he didn't have his headset for that and was just able to, call it. Well, we saw him, when was that?
In the preseason, man. Playing calling the plays as the offensive coordinator.
That's right. That was a preseason game against the Raiders, I think.
Yeah. So that was good prep, apparently.
How about DK Metcalf in this game? And I'm not just talking about that one play where he, was putting guys on his back, just manhandling guys, but how about getting his toes in bounds on just a sideline, Doug Baldwin, Tyler Lockett type catch?
Yeah, he had a couple beauties in this game and really showing an all-around game. And he's going to need it. We're going to need it without Uncle Will going down the stretch. That's going to be a huge loss for us. And the guys are going to have to pick up the slack. And obviously that'll be somebody like DK. Tyler, I'd say he could pick up the slack, but he's already doing all everything. The Tyler things. Yeah. Like, how many times was Russell scrambling around today and breaks off her out, peels it back, boom.
That's the guy he's always looking for in those situations.
Yeah.
And he had 5 receptions, 75 yards on the day. He should have had the touchdown. He was down right at the goal line.
Yeah, that was tough. I honestly thought that was a touchdown.
I can't believe the officials overturned that one.
Dude, there is no rhyme or reason to their decision-making in this game, the officials.
Because there was that Odell Beckham catch on the sideline that it looked like, well, no, I guess it did kind of look like he may have got his elbow down on his way out of bounds. But that one was reviewed. Then they kept that one because just saying that, there wasn't enough evidence to overturn it. But they called touchdown on the field for the Tyler Lockett catch too. And how did they... I don't see in the replays of how you could say there's a definitive replay that he was short.
I mean, by the standard that I understand, I don't see how you reverse it either. I mean, it's ridiculous.
But Chris Carson punches it in.
Yeah, and Seahawks take the lead again. I mean, another seesaw game. We just had a seesaw game with the Rams, who apparently they're no better than the Browns. Well,
I guess in terms of scoring points, their defense held San Fran to 20. They would have had more than 7 points, though, if they were trying to get cute and punch it in from the 1 yard line to get a touchdown. I think they were trying to be too aggressive for going up against a defense that maybe they underestimated that San Francisco defense, or maybe I just look at that one play. What was it, right before the end of the first half, where they had it down on the 1 yard line? Just kick a field goal there. Take the lead. Go into halftime with the lead.
Well, the stat nerds get mad at you if you do that. So
I guess, yeah.
You can't
the Rams play to the stat nerds. But you know what? The Browns play to the stat nerds too. They had the fourth down plays where they were going for it every time.
Yeah, and worked out the first time.
It did work out the first time. And I guess that's part of the playing the percentages, is that it's going to work in your favor more often than it's not going to work in your favor.
Exactly.
But
I mean, I don't know that those were terrible decisions by Kitchens.
No, in fact, I think on the 4th and 4, where they were on our side of the field, and I was actually calling for Pete to go for it on one of the situations where it was like 4th and 7, and they were having trouble kicking toward that windy end of the stadium, and I was thinking, rather than punt it here, why not just, if you're going to let them drive the field anyway, why not just go for it and see if you can pick up a first down here?
Yep, but we punted it, and it was okay punt. Like, I think they got it at the 12. Yeah, that one was a little tough, but again, you're like, all right, fine. Like, I don't hate that one so much. I mean, really, some of the coaching things that I hate the most is we're done with the fade, right? Like, we're just done with it?
On third down.
No more?
Take it away on third down. If you want to try one on first or second down.
No. It's just a waste of a down. Then why are you just wasting? Why don't you just forfeit the down and just be like, okay, we're just going to do the next one now?
Or if you know that there's a matchup where you think, oh, well, maybe we'll get PI here.
None of the matchups. None of them.
Just don't do it ever.
It never works. If you have a 0% chance of success, why are you running it?
It's probably an onside kick percentage for the Seahawks. Like 7%.
7%? You're very generous.
0.
It feels like 0. I mean, maybe Russ will get hit while he's throwing one and it'll make him like more accurate with it. But yeah, he's just terrible at throwing that pass.
You think San Fran's legit?
Yeah, dude. I think their defense is legit.
Yeah.
Yeah. They definitely play very physical up front. And they're going to be a problem. Sure. I don't think their run game is as good as advertised. And their offense is very so-so. Like, I don't see a lot out of Garoppolo. Like, he'll throw a couple dumb ones every game. I mean, they're still very much a work in progress on offense. But, I mean, I know they're number 1 in the league, according to yards rushing. But I don't know. I don't see that offense is being super potent. I don't worry about that. That defense, though, I'm worried.
The defense is worrisome. And so now we have a couple teams that we can look at and say, okay, well, we played the Rams. We also played the Browns. That's 2 common opponents for the 49ers. They're off to a 5-0 start. They only allow the Rams to score the 1 touchdown. They did turn it over on downs. Let's see. The 1 time I mentioned before the half, and then twice again 3 times in the fourth quarter.
Yeah. I would give the 49ers credit for doing that defensively on the road, except for it wasn't on the road.
Because it's in LA.
Yeah, it was, 90% 49ers fans?
It wasn't that many?
I don't know. It looked like it.
I don't see a whole lot of tough matchups for the 49ers coming up.
Us. Twice.
Yeah, and?
I don't know. I didn't look at the rest of their schedule.
Okay, let's go through the 49ers schedule.
While you look that up, I have a very serious question for you.
Okay.
Are you worried about Russell Wilson's regression over the last 3 games?
Oh, is he regressing?
He's regressing. Against Arizona, he completed 78.6% of his passes. Against LA the week before, 73.9. And then this week, only 69.7. It's going downhill.
Oh, he's under 70% for this game?
Yeah.
That's disappointing.
Yeah, he's like I said, regressing. I'm terrified.
That's another thing that made me laugh after the Thursday night game where the Patriots smacked down the Giants, scored 35 points?
Yeah. Had their way with them.
They had their way with the Giants. And was it 35? Was it that many?
I don't know. Seemed like it, so close enough.
It was a lot. And then everybody coming out of the game, they're like, oh, what's wrong with Tom Brady and the Patriots offense? Yeah, okay, I know the defense and special teams put up points, but Tom Brady still scored 3 touchdowns.
I wish the national media would make up their mind as to if the Patriots have good weapons on offense or bad weapons on offense. Like, depending on the week, like it can be, whoa, my God. I mean, they've got Edelman and Josh Gordon and, they had Antonio Brown there for a cup of coffee and, how they will never be stopped. And James White and all these guys.
Yeah.
And then, Brady goes out there and the offense doesn't perform quite as well as a lot of the national people expect. And now Brady's got nobody to throw to. They have no receivers. It's all over.
Well, Josh Gordon did get hurt in that game. So I think that was part of the, I just think that they're pushing to get Gronk back in there. So they have to invent the storyline so that Gronk can come back and kind of save the day and go on to the postseason with the Patriots.
Dude, Gronk will be back about week 10 or 11, just enough time to round into form and help him, win another Super Bowl. I told you when it happened, the Gronk retirement, that was all just to cover for the Robert Kraft, rub and tug situation. That's all it was. Remember, all that was like prominent in the news, and then Gronk retires.
Yeah.
Wink, wink. See you week 10, Mr. Kraft. You're welcome.
That could have something to do with it.
I know it does.
Okay, but you also...
He needed his body to heal anyways. They wanted to rest him.
You also promised me Doug Baldwin was going to return. So who comes back first?
I say we're one injury away from Doug Baldwin testing the waters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't like the idea that has to do with an injury, but okay.
Well, I'm just saying. Because this team will, like, say that happened, the team would be like 8-1, and it's like, dude, Dougie.
Yeah, come back.
Come on, man. We can go on a run this year. Let's go. You don't want to go out like that last year.
I'll be hyped for it when it happens, even as long as it's not. I'm not even going to predict what injury it has to be to.
Well, yeah, no, I mean
that's bad.
I don't want to do that. No, that's bad Hakra.
Yeah.
Nope, that's bad Hakra. We're not doing that. But did you find the 49ers schedule in the middle of that nonsense?
With all that nonsense said, okay. Let's go over and see the opponents that they beat, because they beat the Bucks 31-17. That was another team that beat the Rams, so there's some common opponent interest there. Seahawks are going to have to take on the Bucks coming up here. They beat the Bengals 41-17 the week after the Seahawks just eked one out by 1 point over the Bengals. So 2 road victories to start the year where they're holding their opponent to 17 points. Then they come home, they play the Steelers, they win 24-20, so that was close.
Just like we played them close.
Yeah, bye week for them. They come back, they have the Browns on Monday night in their house 31-3. And now the 20-7 victory over the Rams, technically on the road.
I guess you could hope that they're peaking right now, right? Just peaking too early.
They got to go on the road next week and play Washington.
Oh, no. However, will they survive?
Will they win by 21 points or by 31 points?
I don't know. I mean, can they give negative points to Washington? Because that's what they're going to score in that game.
Then they play the Carolina Panthers, but that's in their house.
They could give them a game.
McCaffrey did not have a good game.
Well, I mean, when your whole offense is one dude, makes it a little
they
tougher.
Still got the win, but
yeah.
Then they go on the road to Arizona.
Okay.
Their next 3 opponents, Washington, Carolina, Arizona.
Yeah, that's helpful.
They could be 8-0 going into the Week 10 matchup with Seattle.
Yep. And by that time, we'll all know exactly which way it is that you pronounce their defensive coordinator's name. Was it Robert Saleh? I always thought it was Saleh.
I think it's Salah.
Salah? Yeah.
He coached. He only coached for our team, so I feel like we should actually know.
Well, apparently the Seahawks, when he was a coach for the Seahawks, there was nobody in the production truck of the TV broadcast that had a crush on him. Because, like, in this game, clearly somebody in the production truck loves him, some Robert Saleh. I mean, all I needed in my life was just, like, I don't know, maybe just one more Robert Saleh sideline shot of him, like, freaking out and, like, flexing. Like, how many, what was that? That had to have been 45 different times they cut to him. Like, more than Shanahan. I thought for a second in my mind, just
he's
drinking
the
a couple
new coach
beers.
of the team.
Yeah, he was like, I was like, oh man, he's jacked up as the coach. Like, wait, he's not the head coach.
No, he's the defensive coordinator. It's almost like when Rob Ryan was on the sideline for the Saints and for the Cowboys. You're like, oh no, that's not the coach.
Right.
Where did those reaction shots go?
Well, I think he went to the studio and then
he's coaching linebackers, I think, it might be for Washington.
Oh, that's probably why.
Yeah. Well, they actually have to make plays for you to get jacked up on the sideline.
They actually want to have to put them on TV or have to want them put them on TV. They won't.
Yeah.
No, that was annoying. I mean, I've had enough Robert Saleh in my life now.
If you were annoyed by it, I was following Rams fans on Twitter, the 2 of them that we know that have a podcast.
Sure.
And they were pretty annoyed by the amount of reaction shots. I pointed,
whatever, catfish them. And I'll tell you why, because that just makes up for every time I've had to look at Sean McVay's smug face on the sideline. Yeah. Why the, announcers gush over him. I mean, look at his hair. He's so young and youthful. He's so hip.
And closing out the schedule after Seattle.
Yeah.
They play Arizona. They get them at home. So 3 games in a row they have at home, Seattle, Arizona, then Green Bay. Then they go to Baltimore, to New Orleans. They get the Falcons at home, and then the Rams at home, and then they come to Seattle for the last week of the season.
Yeah, they have a favorable schedule, and that's mainly because they sucked ass the last couple of years.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's how that works. I mean, you look at the Seahawks schedule going forward here, too. I mean, Baltimore comes to town. I mean, that's a toss-up game, I think. I mean, we should win. We're at home.
Yeah, the Ravens aren't playing great. They only beat the Bengals by a touchdown.
Yeah. And then we get to go to Atlanta and get our free win there.
They're giving away wins to everybody. Arizona got the win.
Yeah. And Tampa then comes to town, and then San Fran. And then this is where I think we'll know everything we need to know about this team. We go San Fran, at San Fran, at Philly, at Minnesota, and then at LA.
No, Vikings at home.
Oh, the Vikings are at home?
Yeah.
Oh, they are. I'm sorry. I read that backwards. You're correct.
And then at LA.
3 road games right there against, supposedly playoff teams.
Fortunately, the Rams are now 3-3.
Yeah, that makes me happy.
That does make me happy.
We have a chance to beat the Niners twice.
And we have a chance to beat the Niners twice. And the Seahawks only have 1 loss.
And Jimmy G will be hurt any day now.
I share your enthusiasm for the fact that could make the 49ers slightly worse. But the way the way the defense is playing, I don't know if they get some pieces back on offense, like their offensive line, and I think any quarterback can hand the ball off to Breida and any of the other running backs that they get back healthy.
Yeah, and hit a few checkdowns.
Right.
I mean, I feel pretty good about Nick Mullins getting that done, right?
Oh yeah. Even Beathard.
I'm not seeing anything out of Jimmy right now that's special, that's for sure.
No. It's
and maybe you lose a couple games just because, he can't be the guy to just pull you back when you're just having a bad game for no reason.
Yeah, if they give up some points early and they can't manage to go down the field, the defense is putting enough pressure on them.
Yeah. I mean, the Seahawks have done that twice now and are 1-1. Like, oh crap, we dug ourselves a hole because the whole team's going to play catfish. Here, Russ. And, bring us back.
And we got one this time.
He's going to do that for you.
I like it.
Well, I don't like it because I would have rather seen a total team effort against a Browns team that's not very good. But then again, I mean, the Browns had a lot to prove after, that 49ers game. I'm sure they were motivated. They're just undisciplined. And their receivers can't catch that vaunted receiving core.
That's a problem.
Beckham's a problem right now.
He had some of the biggest problems with catching the football. There were a couple moments in that game where the Browns would have had first downs. Now, fortunately, I think he wasn't the one who, was I think the Trey Flowers interception was going Beckham's way, but I don't think he even got his hands on the football. So,
no, not on that one. But I mean, he definitely had a couple of drops that were like totally catchable, and then like one where it was like that'd have been a tough catch.
Yeah,
but he's OBJ, right? Like, aren't you supposed to make all those? All you need is 3 fingers.
He should make the easy ones.
Yeah.
But looking at the rest of the NFC, the only other one-loss teams, the Saints, the Packers, and the 49ers have 0.
Well, at least we can write the Cowboys off.
They lost to the Jets.
Like, bad.
What happened? Did you watch any of that?
No.
I'm kind of curious. I want to go check that out.
Yeah. How did that happen?
They've lost 3 in a row now, just like the Rams.
Yeah, I guess.
But
yeah, they're definitely not looking good.
Man, Washington's only 2 games out of the lead in that division.
Yeah, I still, when I look at Philly, I feel like they're a good team.
Yeah.
Like they worry me. The Saints worry me. The Packers worry me a little bit. I still don't believe in that defense, but maybe.
The Vikings, if they decide to play, if Kirk Cousins can...
Nope. They do not worry me.
They don't worry you, huh?
No. Kirk isn't going to win more than one big game this year. He's not. It's just not who he is.
They're undefeated at home. Fortunately, we play them in Seattle.
Well, that'll be helpful there for sure. But we'll see what happens with the defense. Hopefully, Jarran Reed coming back makes the kind of difference that we all have been hoping for. I mean,
my gosh.
We hoped for that with Clowney. We hoped with that with Ansah, and it really hasn't happened. I mean, except for maybe Quentin Jefferson, right? Like, he might be the most consistent guy out there right now.
I'm curious who loses their roster spot.
I don't know. I would have guessed Ballore at that point, but he actually had a catch today.
He did. We saw Nick Ballore. Who did they bring up from the practice squad? They brought up Jordan Roos and Jacob Hollister.
Okay.
So I guess it could be one of those guys.
Yeah.
Adam, our Seahawks are 5-1.
They are. And the offense isn't the problem. And that's kind of nice for a change.
You know what? It just makes me think that with Russell Wilson as the quarterback, he's going to keep us in any of these games. And we are going to just, this season, we're just going to live and die with Russell Wilson as our quarterback. And that makes me feel okay.
There's nobody else I'd rather do it with. So Russell Carrington Wilson, ride or die.
Ride or die. And with that,
there's only one thing left to say.
Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.